Hi folks, Canadian Prepper here, back in the kitchen once again today doing you know what? We're whipping up some freeze-dried food that will last 25 years. This is the stuff that's out there on the military submarines, in the aircraft carriers, in the bunkers of Bill Gates and Warren Buffett and all the bigwigs. This is what they're going to be chowing down on in 30 years, while the rest of us are eating bugs. Unless you want to stock up on some, go check out the link in the description in the comment section below. 15% off wholesale freeze dry. Let's get to it. Now, the innovative thing about wholesale freeze-dried foods, number one, they only use quality products. I only promote food on this channel that I myself would actually eat or feed my kids. Now, I understand if hell is breaking loose, most people will eat anything if they're hungry. Keeping group morale high in a survival situation can be as simple as preparing quality food. Now, freeze-dried food, as most of you probably know by now, is different from dehydrated food, okay? It lasts for 25 years, preserves the texture, most of the taste, and most of the nutrient content, like 90%. So when you're eating this stuff, you have to imagine it's 30 years from now, everybody else is eating bugs, and you are dining on this fine cuisine. Never before has a company been able to bring such very large pieces of meat and freeze dry whole pieces of bread, cheesecake, a variety of different things. That's what makes this company unique, is that the items that they freeze dry are a lot larger. They have their own proprietary process that allows them to do this. So we're gonna test out that food today. So what do we got here? We got some whole pieces of salmon. I've never seen a whole piece of salmon freeze-dried before. Usually this is prohibitive for companies to make food like this and resell it unless they have the special process that these guys use, because it costs so much to freeze dry this stuff. The amount of energy that it takes to guarantee that it's been freeze dried right to the core is a lot. What I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna break this in half just so you can see. I feel bad doing this because it's such a nice piece of salmon. But most of you guys are familiar with salmon, I'm sure, and you could see the textures there. It's actually amazing. You get the same fiber because those cell walls are not destroyed. In dehydration, you destroy the cell wall when it liquefies. With freeze drying, we bypass the liquefaction phase. So we go from frozen food right to evaporation, or the water being sublimated off as a gas. And that preserves the texture of the food. So you can see the fine fibers in there. Once this rehydrates, it's going to, for the most part, retain the texture of the salmon. You can't do something like this with salmon jerky or fish jerky, chicken jerky. You can try to rehydrate it all you want, it's not gonna rehydrate. So what we're gonna do is, we're gonna make a little meal. So we got our salmon, we got our freeze-dried cut green beans. Those things are gonna rehydrate relatively easily. Things like this take a little bit longer. Anything with a higher fat content is a bit more of a struggle to rehydrate. If you don't have hot water in a survival situation, it doesn't matter. You can rehydrate it with cold water. It's just gonna take a lot longer. Obviously, if you can have boiling water, it's gonna make the process a lot faster, and everybody prefers a hot meal over a cold one. And then we also have exotic grains and veggies, where we're gonna use some ancient grains quinoa blend, but that was just a little bit too hippie for me. I'm a meat and potatoes guy. I like things simple. So this is as pescatarian, as vegetarian as I'm willing to go, put it that way. This is a steamer. You can steam this as well. It's gonna take a lot longer. We're just using this steamer right now as a place to rehydrate using boiling water. All right, so let's rehydrate our salmon. Here we go. You can just see it come to life. Now they say let it sit for 60 minutes. I don't know if it's gonna take that long. The bigger the freeze-dried item, the longer it's gonna take to rehydrate. So you gotta be patient with this stuff. So we're gonna let that sit for a while, and I can tell you it's softening up already. This is not gonna take an hour. It smells fishy. They say never eat fish in the staff room at the office because everybody will hate you. I made that mistake once, years ago, and I was forever known as the guy who brought fish to work. This is looking pretty good so far, I must say. Some things are gonna rehydrate better. Fish, I think in general, it's a lighter meat, so it's gonna rehydrate with relative ease. Just like chicken is gonna rehydrate right away. But when you have that higher fat content, that inhibits the rehydration of the food. Well, we got this nice and hot here. Let's just cut into this, have a little bite. Freeze-dried flesh. You gotta get into the mindset. It's 30 years after the shizzy hit the fizzy. Magnifique. That's really good. Man, that's good. I think I have a favorite new freeze-dried food. A little pepper on there. This is what the captain of the nuclear submarine is gonna be eating while his crew eats ReadyWise garbage. I don't know if this is farm salmon, to be quite honest. If the world was burning, I would not give a shit because it is delicious. That's far and away the best freeze-dried food I've ever eaten. It's not for the soy boys who want the participation badges and are gonna complain about everything. It's not gonna be exactly like fresh made salmon, but it sure is close. You guys are definitely gonna wanna take advantage of the 15% off coupon for this stuff in the comment section below. It's Canadian Prepper. Go through the link below, that's the easiest way. When you're loading your cart with this stuff, make sure that you're getting the varieties that you're actually gonna want. You may wanna get one pizza or some novelty item, but understand the more obscure the variety, the less it's probably gonna taste like the real thing when you rehydrated it. Now, we tried out some pizza and it was so-so. It was better than I expected from a texture standpoint. I dreaded soggy pizza being rehydrated. Complete opposite of that. In fact, it was too crispy. It struggled to hydrate, and that's largely because there's a high fat content in the cheese in the pizza. Freeze-dried exotic grains and veggies. I can already tell that's a win. This is gonna be the healthiest meal I've eaten in a while. And we're even gonna throw in some green beans. I can tell you guys right now, this is lighter than air because there's not much in a green bean. It's mostly water. That's dehydrated green beans. That smells really good. It's got some zest. So we got some garlic powder, cilantro. Gotta have that cilantro, baby. The lime juice in the cilantro makes all the difference. Remember guys, this is like money, okay? 25 years. How much do you think salmon is gonna be? If there's even any salmon left at the rate that we're going. This is gonna be like gold. If I had to choose between an ounce of gold, which has a street value today as we make this video of around $2,800 Canadian, I would choose 2,800 bucks worth of this salmon instead. Because in 25 years, that salmon is gonna be worth $20,000. See that coming back to life? It's absorbing it nicely. There's instructions on the back and we ain't gonna read them. I don't have time to read instructions. I only have time to make mistakes and have to do it all over again. I mean, ideally, you would get it so you didn't have to strain it, you just added the right amount, but you can eyeball it. The markup on freeze-dried food largely comes from the fact that it takes a lot of time and a lot of energy. To freeze dry this type of food, it's probably gonna take between 24 and 48 hours, and it's gonna consume a lot of energy. But you always have to keep in mind, most people get generators so that they can run their fridges and their freezers during an emergency. This doesn't require a fridge and a freezer. So the energy that you invest is beforehand, whereas keeping a freezer running with solar panels or whatever, that requires a constant. When prepping, you have to choose between the upfront investment in time and energy, or during disaster, having to utilize your time and energy to do work. I call it the 100-to-1 rule. It's 100 times easier now to achieve what you're going to need to do when times get hard. So for example, right now in Canada, it'll cost you around 30 to 40 bucks for a giant bag of rice, a 40-pound bag of rice that consists of around 60,000 calories. 40 bucks can feed the average person for 30 days. How much energy and time would it take you to get that 60,000 calories after Mad Max? Good luck being able to grow a garden, much less defend it from bloodthirsty marauders after it hits the fan. Try some of this out here. You know me, I love my salt. And that's one of the great things about this type of freeze-dried food is that you get to control your own sodium. With Peak Refuel and Happy Act, there's sodium in it, but not enough that it's gonna kill you. And quite frankly, you don't have to worry about high sodium after SHTF, okay? You're worried about not being killed. Yeah. Huge thumbs up on this one. I was a little worried because the cheesecake is hard to rehydrate. We're gonna have the owner of this company on the channel. He's gonna give us the ins and outs, the tricks on how to rehydrate this stuff. If you grew up with a silver spoon in your mouth, then it might not meet your standards, but you're gonna die anyway, so. The bottom of the fish is a little bit harder. That's where some of the fattier deposits are. It's a little, it's a little dry. It's not as tender as, like a freshly cooked fish or something. I'm sure if you let it hydrate for longer, you can make it a little bit juicier, but perfectly acceptable as far as I'm concerned. So I'm giving this dish a 9.2 out of 10. I gotta save my 10s for when I'm really blown away, right? Don't want to set the bar too low, even though this is really good. All right, guys, if you want to get this stuff at 15% off, go through the link in the description, use coupon code Canadian Prepper, and load up what you can. Thanks for watching. Canadian Prepper out.
The best way to support this channel is to support yourself by gearing up at CanadianPreparedness.com, where you'll find high-quality survival gear at the best prices, no junk, and no gimmicks. Use discount code PREPPINGGEAR for 10% off. Don't forget, the strong survive, but the prepared thrive. Stay safe.